Hi guys, and welcome to this week's reading vlog where we're going to sit down, lock in and try to see how many books I can read while on vacation for the span of 1 week, because I'm on vacation right now. I love reading books. I feel like it's just like a great time to sit down, lock in, enjoy the sunlight and just get some reading in. So that's what we're doing today, because that's basically my favorite thing ever, and let's just jump right in. So now for context, at this point I've already started and I'm in the middle of 2 books. But the thing is, one is on Kindle, one's on audiobook, and right now it's like prime time in the evening to go visit the library because my subscription is still active. My membership hasn't expired yet, which means for right now I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Kindle book and continue with it as I head out to the library, because it'll be open only till 7. I want to go enjoy the hours while I can, which is why for right now I'm just going to go ahead, continue the book I'm already in the middle of on Kindle, and see how it goes as I'm reading there with no distractions and whatnot, and try to see how much I can get done while I'm over there, because the last couple of weeks the videos that I've been recording have been audiobook only and whatnot, and I needed something to read at night before bed on Kindle, and so I did start something. I am quite a ways through it, I would say halfway, which means if I can lock in I can potentially finish it this evening and we'd already get our first book done, and then later in the night I can continue with the other book I'm in the middle of, the audiobook, which is also an exciting one, which means for now let's just start. We're already off to like a great fun video, because the 2 books that I am reading right now I've been excited to get to, especially while I'm on vacation for like months now at this point, which is why that's what we're doing right now. I'm gonna go lock in, see how much I can get done over there. See you guys once I get back in the evening from there, and then hopefully I'll have the first book complete as well, which means those are our plans right now. Maybe I'll carry a second book as well because I'll be there for a couple hours, and maybe we can start something else there too, who knows. But those are the plans right now. Let's just see how it goes. Let's see how much fun we end up having, because I feel like some of my best reading gets done on vacation while I'm just chilling under the sun, trying to soak up all the nice weather while I'm reading some fun books. And I feel like the best way to pass the time truly is that, which is why I'm gonna go do it right now. Again, like I said, see you guys later when I'm coming to catch up to watch the sunset and stuff, reading a little bit more hopefully then, and then I'll give you my first update on the books that I have started. So I'm gonna go head out now, but see y'all in a bit, and bye. Okay guys, bunch of updates giving time, because as predicted I did go ahead and finish book 1 for the video. In fact, I ended up reading for so long that I ended up starting another book on Kindle, so I'm still in the middle of 2 books at this point. It's just now it's a different Kindle book and the same audiobook that I'll get to in a little bit. But basically, to update you about my Kindle book, I ended up going ahead and picking up, or continuing to read I guess, The False Start, which it's the last book in the, I think it's the Gold Rush Ranch series, Elsie Silver's like OG ones, that I really wanted to get back to and finish this year, because I started it last year over vacation, had the best time ever, and so all this time I was actually saving it to come read it on vacation, knowing that I get to soak up those vibes, because I really enjoyed it last year, but for some reason it didn't hit this year. But I'll get to that in a second. What I ended up doing was going ahead and picking that up for the like 3 hours that I was in the library. After the library, I don't think I told you, but I took the same bag that I carry as my outside bag wherever I go, because frankly I just didn't want to waste the time kind of preparing like a new bag full of things I should just take to the library and whatnot, considering the fact that they were closing at 7. I didn't want to waste a single second, and so because I took my outside bag, and because as I was rummaging through it as I was walking out, I realized I had my AirPods on me and they were fully charged. There's like a park nearby, so I figured, okay, after the library, since free will, and also I have literally nothing to do and nowhere else to be, I'd go sit there. The benches look perfect, just like watch the view, kind of read my book. Ended up doing that for a little bit. Then I came back home. I ended up going out in the balcony, the deck area, watching sunset. Again, continue reading the new book I started, to the point where now I've been reading for like I don't even know how many hours at this point, having a good time, even though the books are not typically the best ones I've ever read, but thanks to which I did go ahead and finish out this one in the first, or I think like first hour and a half-ish time of when I was at the library, simply because again had really nothing else to do, and also I was farther along than I thought I was, which means I sped through this. I feel like Elsie Silver, even if I don't like her books, I speed through them because that's just something she puts in them. I have no idea what, but somehow I always end up binging them, like I binged this. And for a quick premise, this is the final book in that series. We follow this girl called Nadia and the guy called Griffin, they both end up running into each other in this like bar washroom and whatnot, and they end up having this like moment and stuff, and they think nothing's gonna come of it because it's like a small town. You meet people, you kind of forget about them the next day, maybe if they're like out of towners and stuff, except the next day they do end up bumping and running into each other in the most unexpected of ways, because apparently both of them are not out of towners, both of them are linked in a way they would not expect. Basically, for context, Griffin is the sort of guy who has only like a handful of people he can truly be himself with and trust around him, because he's had like a bumpy past and stuff happened back in the day that now he's only attached to those people, one of them being his best friend Stefan. And apparently when they run into each other, they realize that, oh wait, Nadia is actually Stefan's younger sister that just came from like abroad and stuff from boarding school. And suddenly now things are thrown off course and whatnot, because now he cannot just pursue anything with her despite how explosive their moment was, because he can't risk his relationship with Stefan, considering Stefan is one of the only like good people he has surrounded himself with in life that he's close to. And so we have all these like moments between the two of them over the years that kind of build up into something bigger. They both want something more, but they can't pursue it because of that being the number one reason, and number two because he's like fully an adult. He's like 35 or something like that, and she's 14 years younger than him, so that's quite the age gap. She's like 21, still figuring life out, and people would not necessarily take well to it if they kind of came out with a relationship and stuff, even ignoring and damning the whole Stefan situation, which is why again they're like sneaking around trying to figure out what's going to happen next, and that's the plot. And for me personally, it didn't work because I feel like the roles were very much switched. She felt like the adult in the relationship, and he was just so stupid and annoying and getting on my nerves every time he opened his mouth. A very good example of how sometimes you should judge someone by the cover, because if you go beyond and start exploring even more, it's just going to keep getting worse. And so there was that, which obviously let me down because I was waiting to read this book for a whole year at this point, but also considering the fact that it's Elsie Silver, this is like the first miss I've had by her, and I'm really sad, but it's now my least favorite book I've read of hers because of that, but also because of the fact that they have like a 14-year-old age gap, and sometimes in age gap romance the age is not really addressed, but this one specifically, it was the main topic of conversation every turn you took, and that also got really old really fast, got on my nerves, didn't have a good time. So there was that I didn't really enjoy. A couple of other things is that just the way they would talk to each other didn't feel like realistic or anything, and I know it's a romance, I know it's like a story fiction, it's not supposed to be, but just again the way the story panned out, certain things happened in it, I could not stand for it. At some point he like runs this dog over with his car, and she's like romanticizing it, saying that in a way he saved the dog from like a lonely life by kind of getting it trampled over and then running to get it help because he felt guilty. And just again the glorification of certain things just didn't work for me. I got so pissed off, and so here we are. I'm gonna give this 2 stars. So happy I'm done. And now moving along, the other book that I did start on Kindle, I think I just hit the halfway mark, but also it's like another cheesy rom-com. It's not too long, so like it's kind of expected because I was reading for the past few hours continuous. But I'm actually gonna put my Kindle down as a break for the day and get to my audiobook now, because that is a new release that I've been waiting to like read for a little bit, which is why right now for the rest of tonight I'm thinking I want to go ahead and continue working on my crochet blanket that I mentioned that I've been working on for the past like 17 months at this point. And as I'm doing that, kind of listen to the rest of the audiobook out, finish it out, because yesterday I didn't come in an update, but essentially I was out all day long, and because I kept having to go to like places far away from home and whatnot, I had the audiobook running throughout the entire day on my drive over, to the point where I'm nearly done with it again at this point. I have lots of progress in. If I lock in like one sitting, I can definitely finish, which is why that's what I'm doing right now. Update you all again in a bit once I have that done. But I think that'll be all of my reading for today, because after that I just want a little break, which is why I'm gonna go do all of that. See you guys later, and then we can maybe come back and continue my Kindle book as well. Lots of new options. Yeah, I did not end up taking any physical with me to the library because again just would not fit in my bag in the first place, and the second I just thought I'll read something on Kindle, downloaded something new, started that, so it's not the end of the world. I'll get back to my books now, and I'll see you all in a bit once I have more updates to give. But now onto the audiobook and then onto the next Kindle book. So those are our plans right now. Gonna get back to it and see you all in a bit. Bye. Okay, and so now it's update time because today truly I've locked in. I've spent so much time reading that I'm done with the next one as well. For a change though, you know how I keep saying that, oh, I didn't estimate how much was on the book and I sort of like thought there was more but I was done sooner. I feel like in the case of this book, I thought there was less and I thought I'd be done sooner, but it took much longer to get through it because I just didn't realize how much there was left. And that's a great testament to say that, again, did not enjoy this book very much. It's the new Abby Jimenez. It's called The Night We Met, but before anything, I did go ahead and continue this like crochet blanket that I've been working on as I was listening. I was working on this bits and whatnot, and you know, there's still quite the way to go. So again, we'll pick up an audiobook soon, maybe hopefully tomorrow now, because my brain is starting to feel like a scrambled mess of words. But until then, yeah, we will be reading more books in the video as I try to like go ahead and complete this out. But as all of that's happening, I did go ahead and finish this one specifically, and all I'll say is I don't know what it is with all these misses. This video is not off to such a great start already. Because I personally, I don't think I like this as much as I like the typical Abby Jimenez book that I read. This is easily like the worst of hers I've read so far. It's easily my least favorite because there were bits of it I hated, and obviously I could see the Abby Jimenez charm. I could definitely see like the complicated situation that came from it, and you know, there were some moments I really had a good time with, but otherwise overall I'm just not the biggest fan of the story, and that makes me so sad because I was so excited to like come on vacation, read this book. The cover is so stunning, the title got me because you know the song, and it's got no real correlation like to the song and whatnot, but it's Abby, so I was hoping that still she'd come and deliver like she always does, and this one just, it kind of let down for me. For a quick premise, we basically follow this girl called Larissa, and after a concert one night, she actually has two options of how she needs to get back home. There's basically two different guys offering to drive her back, and now she wants to pick which guy she's gonna go back home with. So either Mike will drive her home or Chris will, and what happens is that she ends up choosing Mike, and then over the course of the next like few months and whatnot, he becomes her boyfriend, they start dating and whatnot, except as she's hanging around him and every time he lets her down, every time he ends up sending his best friend Chris, the other guy, in to kind of cover for him, she starts establishing this connection with Chris to the point where if she could like do that night over again, the night they met, she'd pick Chris, not Mike, because he is her perfect match in every way. He's basically her soulmate. They're like looking after this dog together that they've adopted, then they're like rating bread and doing all this fun stuff. They're reading like a bunch of books and then reviewing it together, and they're like a great match for each other intellectually, not just like emotionally and whatnot, except nothing can come off it because Chris is Mike's best friend, and that would honestly be walking over too many ties and connections. Mike is not in such a great place at the moment, so that would also mean jeopardizing his like mental health and whatnot, and also because Larissa and Mike are together, that would again constitute as cheating and whatnot. But then if they do separate, these guys can never get together because it goes against bro code. The entire like friend group would like ditch them and like move on and whatnot, and basically you'd be like cutting every single tie to be with each other, except they don't know what to do now because they truly are like the ones for each other, and it leads you to the sticky situation that what if you're with someone but at the same time you meet the true love of your life and now you don't know what to do, because it's almost like a forbidden sort of romance, and very high emphasis on forbidden because like the trope is thrown in there, honestly like sprinkled in there for any other romance book very openly, very freely, but in this one you can truly see the stakes of it and how any choice could kind of impact and affect their lives for the rest of whatever and their relationship and whatnot, which is why there's all of that. They're trying to stay away from each other, but at the same time it's like killing them. And then honestly for me personally, I enjoyed their connection a lot. I feel like with any Abby characters and whatnot, you can see it right off the bat. There's no like proper like third act conflict in her book. There's always just some big reason why they cannot be together, and it's not like the two characters themselves, so nothing stupid like miscommunication. It's usually more often than not like external forces, and you can definitely see that in this book because the way they connect, you can definitely see that these two people are so in love and they make sense together and they fit in perfectly. It's just they can't work and they can't do anything on it because of Mike, and so there's all of that. But for me that didn't work in the best way because she is up with Mike I think till like the 80% mark in the book or something like that, and then she finally breaks it off. And so the entire like process of her being with Mike and whatnot, while nothing physically happens with Chris, it just feels like emotional cheating, the way they're like bonding behind his back, and like I don't know, it did not work for me because I feel like cheating is still cheating whether you do it or not, even if you're connecting with someone else on an emotional level. So that's why for me it just didn't work, because every time they were like connecting and having all these sweet moments together, I still got the ick knowing that she's still with Mike and she still hasn't like broken things off yet, despite like whatever going against it would, which is why for me personally I didn't have such a great time with this book. I could again definitely see the great moments in it. I definitely had a good time. I was definitely giggling at some bits. It's just when I was doing so, it again got me in the complicated place wherein she is with someone else and she's feeling all these things for Chris. And yeah, it's a complicated book. It definitely brings up the discussion that okay, adult relationships can be sticky. You really need to navigate. Just the way it was handled in this book, especially considering Mike is still in the picture, that wasn't my favorite, which is why I'm going to give it like 3.5 stars. But for me personally, what I'm most excited to see now is how the author carries forward Mike's story, because the next book she's releasing is in his perspective and his own romance, and he, you know, definitely seems like a good guy by the very end of it. It's just, again, lots of complicated feelings throughout, considering I read like a whole book wherein he was almost being made the bad guy even though they were the ones doing the emotional cheating, which is why here we are. I have full faith in her though, and hopefully next year's book will be the one that ends up being the hit for me rather than this one, because I really like the series. The first one in the series, Say You'll Remember Me, that was like a complete 5 stars, had the best time ever, truly one of the best books ever. And so this one kind of let me down. We'll have to see about the next one, but I'm done with this at this point. I'm taking a break for tonight now because I'm really tired, but I'll be back in tomorrow, hopefully start like a different audiobook to continue this and then continue with my Kindle book and whatnot. But yeah, that's it for today's updates. Already got 2 books under my belt, but I don't think the rest of them will go by as fast because these I already had some progress on. The other ones I'm starting over from scratch, so we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, 2 books down. Let's hopefully get a few more of my TBR in this video. Already off to a great start, and hopefully now I find something that I rate better than 2 and 3 stars, because frankly I'm like vying for a really good book. At this point I want it so bad, and hopefully the next one will be it. So that's it. I'm gonna go now, and bye. So it's now the next night and it's update time, because after so much reading yesterday, I figured I'd take like a long deserved break today, but also still read like sporadically throughout, thanks to which I've only just finished our next book right now. It's much later in the night for context, and it's the audiobook that I ended up starting after I finished our previous audiobook, but then also still counts as reading in my opinion, which is why here I am for an update. This one's called Beach Rivals, and I continued, or I guess started and continued listening to it as I was like working on my little crochet project. Is not so little anymore, it's kind of becoming huge, but I was working on this. I ended up taking off my nail polish as well because it was looking really ugly, and hopefully tomorrow I'll sit down and start like a different audiobook and then continue like painting them again so they look somewhat better. Right now I'm thinking red, but we'll just have to see what we end up doing. Continue this as well, and I want to finish like one side out, and I'm really close to, so hopefully all of that gets done with our next audiobook. But for now, on this audiobook specifically, for a quick premise, we follow this girl called Claire. She's still currently living with her mom and whatnot, even though she's like a fully fledged adult and whatnot. She doesn't have like a permanent job. She's not really living a steady life the past couple of years. She's only spent it to like travel, to the point where her mom's literally kicking her out now just so she can go find a purpose in life, because ever since her like father passed away, she's floating around kind of, and she just doesn't see the meaning in stuff. Except now, as all of this is happening and all these big life changes are happening around her, she sees this like ad to like recruit a person who is getting paid to go to Bali and then over there run a bookshop for 3 months, basically any book girlie's dream job. And she figures, okay, she'll bite, she'll go for it regardless of the fact that it feels a little scammy, because listen, that's like her perfect dream job, kind of like the time to figure out what she wants to do with the rest of her life, and also something fun to like creatively immerse herself in. Except when she actually gets there, she realizes she's not the only person who got the job. They recruited someone else as well, this guy called Jack, and he's basically her opposite in every other way, because she's handling like the book selling and the creative aspect of the store, so like marketing their Instagram and then the little bookshelves and like cleaning the storage and the shelving and whatnot up so that people get more, I guess, like focused and attracted to like come into the shop and then kind of buy from them. Jack, on the other hand, he's managing like the accounts and the books and where the money is going and whatnot and how to save it, because apparently it's like a failing business. And so now they have 3 months to kind of like team up and save the bookstore. Except as all of that's happening, they're also falling for each other because, you know, it's a romance book. And along with the job, they were also offered this like flat to live in together as roommates while they are in their trip and whatnot. And so with all of that, with the close proximity, with everything else, they're starting to fall for each other, but it's temporary because it's only 3 months. They both have lives to get back to, and that's the story. And for me personally, this might be the dullest book I've read in my entire life. For context, the only reason I picked it up is because, again, number one, vacation vibes. At this point, I want to read only the vacation books on my TBR, simply because I'm on vacation. There's no better time to read it. But actually, because I saw it for the first time around the time it was released, I would say about 3 years ago when I went to the bookstore to buy a different book. I remember it was the 7-year slip, but it really attracted me. For some reason, it kind of reminded me the cover of Beach Read, the UK cover, because that's the one I've got. And so I figured, okay, I'll buy this in the bookstore. Except when the time actually came to it, I realized there was only one copy copy and it was kind of damaged, so I figured, okay, I'll just get to it at some other point and whatnot. Maybe later in the future, if I like it, then I'll get a copy. And so it caught my eye in the bookstore because it sounded so good, it sounded so interesting that I knew I wanted to get to it. And I genuinely wish it just didn't. I wish it wasn't shelved that day or whatever, because this felt like such a waste of time. Firstly, all the characters are so obnoxious, they all feel like wet towels and they're just so irritating. There's that to deal with. Then there's the fact that their relationship is barely just like one misunderstanding at the beginning, and then right after that they're like jumping into things and stuff, and there's like a different guy who's like a different love interest and like a bunch of like other shit happening. So what I'll say is that the book is too short and the author tried to like incorporate too many things going on in the storyline without actually giving it good pacing, which is why everything felt rushed and off. And then the whole thing with the bookstore up until the very end, it really pissed me off. It wasn't for me. The book was also written in this like weird third person POV that just, in my opinion, did not help me connect with the characters. It didn't work because some authors can do it really well, just not this one, which is why for me personally this was such a flop show. I'm so happy I'm done reading it. It was like watching socks dry in the worst way possible, which is why 2 stars. Hated every second. Now I get to move on and read something better, and for now I'm thinking maybe like a genre switch up, because clearly romance isn't working at the moment. The Kindle book, while I have gone ahead and binged little bits of it, especially today during like sunset and other moments and whatnot, I'm still nowhere close to being done, which is why I'm gonna put it down for a little bit right now, pick up a different audiobook as I continue, the crochet, doing my nails and whatnot in a different genre. I'm thinking like a thriller that'll get through really fast, get me on my toes, get me excited to read it, and then after that I'll get back to the Kindle book, back to our romance, which is why breaking things up right now, that's going to be my next book. And then after that I'll get to this and update you all about it, because again, I don't want to fall in a romance slump, especially not on vacation when it's literally the season to be reading them, in my opinion. Which is why I'm gonna get back to my books now. See y'all in a bit once I have the thriller done, I guess. I have already picked out which one I want to read. I just have to go do it, which means I think I'll see y'all directly now tomorrow at this point, because tonight it's too late to actually sit down and lock in and finish the whole thing and then still come in and give an update, because I think I'll be barely conscious at that point, which is why at my beauty sleep, I'll do my reading, everything will be balanced out and perfect, and those are my plans for right now. I'll go do all of that and see y'all in a bit. I think now directly tomorrow once I have updates on the thriller essentially. But let's pray that the video turns around, because I'm like craving a good book right now. Even if it's just like a 4-star, I need something like that, and at this point nothing's really working, so we have to see. But here we are anyway, and that's it for this update. Bye. Okay guys, so it's now Friday night. I did go ahead and finish our next book out, which was the audiobook. Yesterday itself, actually, in the morning and whatnot, but I wasn't able to come in and update because I had other plans. I ended up going out, thanks to which there was literally no time to come in and speak. And today I did like a bunch of other things. We'll get to that in a second. But before anything, I managed to finish The Fury by Michaelides, and so I figured I'd give you an update about that, catch up on our books, and then get back to my reading, because I'm still going strong. I still have it in me to finish at least the next book, maybe another one after that, who knows, for the rest of the week that's left. And so we shall have to see. But for this one specifically, for a quick premise, we follow this woman called Lana Ferrar, and she's essentially like a really popular movie actress and whatnot, except now she's kind of sick of the sort of rhythm in life that's kind of monotone at the moment, and she figures, okay, since she's rich and famous and she can literally do whatever she wants, she has this private like Greek island that she decides that she'll go take like a spontaneous like vacation, like a getaway trip to, because she's sick of the weather. She's sick of, again, just the dullness of the mundanity, is that a word, of her real life, her regular life, to the point where she takes her family with her. She ends up taking her husband and her son, and then she invites a couple of her closest friends to come spend like just a couple days there at the island, have like a good time. Except what you find out later is that all these people, every single one of them in the whole set of them, has some sort of like bitter secret hidden amongst like each other and whatnot, to the point where all of this added to the fact that they are stuck away on this like private island in the middle of nowhere, and that there's a storm that kind of strands them in. Things end up coming to a head to the point where one of them is murdered. It becomes like the most sensational story of the tabloids. And now all these years later, one of the friends, his name is Elliot, he's like sitting you down to tell you the story of what actually went down, like apart from the speculations and stuff, because she was like a really popular celebrity and stuff. People were gossiping and trying to really figure out what went down, and this is like his account of it. And for me personally, I will say it, he, Elliot, the main character, and also like the rest of them, they're all just so obnoxious, but it's still so fun to read about, because they're the most unpleasant sort of people you'll sort of like read about, but at the same time, that's what makes it like interesting to read. It almost felt like a gossip magazine in a way, except it's being told right from the source, so imagine like an interview. And then not just that, I really enjoyed like the voice that was being told in, because that was fun to read about. It was sort of like in this way wherein it felt like he's like a close friend of yours and he's sitting you down at the bar to like basically just have like a whole conversation with you, because there's like bits when he's telling you to like grab a beer, come settle in with him because he's got like a big story to tell, and that I really enjoyed. And what also worked obviously for me is how quick it was. I was able to finish it in no time whatsoever. As I was finishing this up, I managed to finish the one half that I needed to for my shawl for my mom as well, so that's perfect as well, blanket, whatever you want to call it, to the point where I only have one side left. I have finished my book and I feel so great at this point. The one thing that just did not work for me is, even though I was like raptured by the story, wanting to see what happens next, really captivated, for me personally it kind of felt dull towards the end of it and whatnot. Just the whole like conclusion of it, like it makes sense, but at the same time it just felt a lot like a Taylor Adams book, just not as great and whatnot, because it felt like there's a whole big picture and you're being given details of it only like one at a time, to the point where you have to like piece together the whole picture, and the author keeps going back to like add bits more of it, to the point where it's the same thing overall. It's just a couple plot twists that maybe were omitted at the beginning, you get to know later, that weren't as impactful in this book specifically, which is why it wasn't like the craziest, but at the same time I had a good time reading. It felt like a cozy mystery for whatever reason, and it reminded me a lot of like Agatha Christie's books, which is really funny because at the beginning the author does compare and say that it's not an Agatha whodunit, right off the bat who it's probably gonna be, but still you keep reading to figure out that okay, what really happens, what goes down. And overall, yeah, I think it's interesting, again, just the way it was told. It was definitely like a good break from our couple genres that we were already reading, because I was really sick of romance and I just wanted something to switch things up, and this definitely did. So overall, 3.5 stars. I had a good time reading. I can't wait to get to more of his books. I own one on my physical shelf, so when I get back home I will get that read. But for now, this was engaging enough that I heard it in a couple settings and still had a good time, which is why this is done. And then all of yesterday, as I was outside, I did have like my Kindle with me, so I did continue reading my Kindle book When in Rome, kind of to see that through, but at this point I'm still not done with it. Today specifically, I did go swimming all afternoon and evening, which is why my hair looks all frizzy and whatnot. I'm completely exhausted, and all I want to do right now is curl up and read, to the point where I do believe I don't have a lot left of my book, which is why I think I'm going to go ahead, sit down and get that done tonight. And then if I'm in the mood and not too tired, I'll start another book. But then tomorrow is Saturday. I generally don't like filming anything on Saturdays because that's my day to like sit down and edit the vlog before I post on Sundays, which is why we'll have to see if When in Rome is the final book for this video, or if tonight later and whatnot I still have the time and I don't feel drowsy enough to like start something new on Kindle now, because I'm not in the mood for like an audiobook, and see how that goes. But so far those are the plans for the video. I still have it in me to read some more, and I'll go do that, and I'll update you all in a bit once I do have things to say about my next book. But yeah, now back to romance, because I've been missing the genre. When in Rome, hopefully it shapes up to be what everyone's speaking about it online, because it's very hyped up and I can already see the vacation vibes. But yeah, I'm gonna go finish that out now. See you all in a bit, and I'll put in all the clips of me reading that now. And that's it. Bye. Hi guys, so it's now the next day. Again, a couple more updates to give you, which is why here I am right now. I did go ahead and sit down and yesterday night lock in and finish When in Rome, so we'll speak about that first and then on to the next book. But for this one specifically, for a quick premise, essentially we follow Amelia. She's like the princess of pop music, essentially. She's a very famous singer, and she's just about to start going on her 9-month world tour. There's only a little bit of time left before it, except right before it's gonna start, she realizes that she's very burnt out with the sort of image that she's got to maintain in the like pop world and whatnot, especially when it comes to the music and her fans and everything else, to the point where now she's not really enjoying the art of music anymore. She doesn't want to do it anymore. She's just tired and needs a break because she's been overworked and whatnot. And so she figures she'll like pick an Audrey Hepburn film because she loves watching those, and whatever she gets chosen and whatnot, that decides what she ends up doing with her break. And so she ends up choosing the movie Roman Holiday. Haven't personally watched it, but essentially the premise goes that Audrey ends up going to Rome, Italy or something like that, except Amelia, Rome, Italy is kind of too far for her, so she ends up going to the closest Rome otherwise, which is Rome, Kentucky, and she figures that she'll take a little bit of a break there before she needs to go on her world tour, just kind of like a little bit of like a low-key vacation and whatnot, away from the paparazzi, away from like the media and stuff, just to have a couple days to herself, see how it goes. Except she ends up taking one of like her older cars for like the nostalgic vibes, and it ends up breaking down on the outskirts of town. So she was supposed to like drive into the bed and breakfast she's booked at, except her car breaks down on the way there. She doesn't make it there, and it ends up breaking down in the front yard of this guy called Noah Walker, and he's essentially from the same town obviously, but on the outskirts. He's the grumpy pie shop owner, and the thing with him is that he's been wronged in love quite a bit in the past and whatnot, especially with this one relationship that really broke him, to the point where now he can't deal with city people anymore, especially this woman who is literally a celebrity, because he just doesn't have the bandwidth and whatnot. Except when he sees her state, he decides that okay, he'll just give her like a room to stay at until her car can get fixed, because he feels bad for her. Except with that, considering the fact that now she's staying at his place and whatnot, out of pity or whatever, they end up hanging out. He's giving her like the small town experiences she wanted, especially coming off of like the vacation and whatnot, and she's kind of teaching him to love again. And then the close proximity is kind of resulting in this chemistry, to the point where now they both want to be together. Is just because of past experiences that have left him jaded, and the fact that she is like a pop star who has a very busy routine that can't be like stricken down to the small town and whatnot. She needs to be out and about. She can't make her life there with him. He can't take hers with her and whatnot. It's probably not going to work out, which is why, you know, it's only going to be like a little bit of like a fling, except they still want more. They're falling in love and they don't know what to do next. And for me personally, I have seen this book get a lot of hype online. The whole reason I picked it up is because it has the vacation aspect, and I figured okay, that'll be fun to read about as I'm on my own vacation. And you know, I can definitely see why it's hyped. It's just for me personally, I think I've read too many rom-coms with a similar plot line or just similar plot devices and a structure, to the point where I could see where this was going. It reminds me a lot of the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, if you've read the first book in that series, because some bits about it were very similar. And so, you know, with that aspect, I feel like personally, because I already knew what would probably happen, there was nothing really keeping me engaged. Even their chemistry fell a bit flat, because they're only hanging out for like a week before they realize they're in love. And so, thanks to which, it's not the best romance book I've ever read, but that's maybe because I've read too many rom-coms, because it did have its moments. It's just, if I hadn't read as many as I've read at this point, they definitely would have hit me harder, which is why for now it's like a 3.5 star. Nothing too great and whatnot, but it was still a good way to like spend the time, read it. And I definitely did binge it on my Kindle and whatnot. Every time I'd pick it up, I'd read like chunks of it and have the sweetest time ever. And now I do believe I will pick up the next one in the series, because I've heard that one's even better and it follows a couple of characters I'm interested to read about. It's just after that, if that one doesn't end up being a hit for me either, I might not continue the series, because I don't think I'm just that invested to see the whole thing through and whatnot, which is why here we are. Otherwise, it wasn't a bad book. There were definitely some tropes in there that were really fun, and overall it's a good book to read in the summertime, especially if you want something that's no brain power and whatnot, because I did definitely binge it. And so there was that. After I finished this, I figured I wanted to go to bed because I was tired. If y'all have swam before, which a huge percentage of y'all probably have, you know that if you end up going swimming the entire afternoon and evening, that means like a few hours of swimming, you're gonna be like tired as shit. You just want to like kind of pass out because you're so exhausted. And so I knew in my head that I wanted to just take a break, because I wasn't able to stay awake anymore. I was swimming so long in the evening that I just didn't have it in me to stay up like half the night like I usually do and just do other things. Except I figured, okay, I'm not that like sleepy tired anymore in terms of my eyes, and maybe I'll just like read like a chapter or something else and then get to bed and whatnot. And I really wanted to do a reread here, because I've carried like 5 physical books this time around on vacation that I wanted to pick one off and reread, because they're like some of my favorites ever, good to read on vacation and stuff. Except the room that they're kept in is where my grandma was already asleep, and I didn't want to go and interrupt her and whatnot, disturb her trying to get the books out. And so I figured I'll just like read one chapter or something on Kindle. What could go possibly wrong and whatnot? Read one chapter, go to bed. If I can't finish it, I'll just read it on my own time or in a different video, just see how it goes, just a little bit before bed. I ended up staying awake till 4 in the morning. I wasn't even able to physically do it, but the book was so good I just wasn't able to put it down. I picked up Dial A for Aunties. I don't know why this book has got me at this point. It's just something about this book. And yeah, I managed to read 70% of this in like 2 sittings. The one break I took in the middle was just like a bathroom break and for some water and stuff before I got back on it. And then around 4 in the morning, when I truly just wasn't physically able to pull it anymore, I figured, okay, I'll get to bed and I'll finish this in the morning today, which is why here I am right now to come in and finish this out. Would not have expected my next read to be a Kindle book that I managed to finish in the span of a day, because it's been a while since I've binged a book like that. But apparently it is, and so good for me. I will go ahead and finish like the last 30% of this that's left before I have to go edit this video, which is why we are doing another book. Not expected, but it's happening anyway because this one's just incredible. I need to see it through, and so for now I'm thinking I want to go to the library, lock in over there and get the last little bit of this done. But also while I'm reading, if it continues the same way it's been going right now, especially with the way I've been binging it and loving every second, because it's like part comedy and part romance and like part mystery because there's a bunch of things happening, I think I'm going to be rating this one so high. Ever since I woke up in the morning, I can't stop thinking about how I'm going to get back to this and finish reading it and have such a great time. And you know, when you're reading a 5-star book, you get that feeling of just like excitement that you're going back to read your 5-star and continue and see the way it goes. That's what I'm getting right now. So it's not expected, but at the same time, if it goes the way it does that mean I'm finding a 5-star book on vacation right now, which is again the best feeling ever, not complaining. But basically that's what I'm gonna go do right now, get back to my reading, finish this out, come update you all once I get back from the library. But yeah, this was not expected. I was supposed to like do a reread or something, and now I just don't want to reread anything. I want to get back to this, which is why we'll see how it goes. But those are my updates right now. I'm just gonna go get back to reading this, and yeah, just cross your fingers for me because I am loving this book so much that I need a physical anyway. It's just, it'll be even better if it ends up being a 5-star, which is why let me go see this through. So happy I picked it up. Such a random book overall as well. Would not have expected it. But yeah, here we are. Gonna get to it now, and I'll see y'all in a bit once I'm back from the library and have this done. So that's it. Bye. Alright, so it is indeed the last day for this video because that's also going to be hopefully the same night I post this if I manage to get it all edited and whatnot. But yeah, with that we have reached now the end of the vlog because I did go ahead and finish out our final book, so we'll speak about that for a second. But then after that there won't be any more reading, which means overall I was able to read 6 books on my average vacation week, and that's just like quite a bit of reading considering the fact that I'm on vacation, I'm enjoying the summertime, I'm enjoying my books, and I feel like again a great slay overall. But the biggest slay of them all is that the final book I just read, it is as we predicted. The book gods were shining upon me today because I don't know how. Most random book. In fact, this wasn't even like on the original TBR I had picked out for this video. It was just like a completely random book I ended up picking out because I wasn't in the mood to start something new on audio, which is gonna be, or was supposed to be, the final book for this video originally. And so, you know, just picked this up randomly and here we are. That's just the way life works, I guess. I found a 5-star read. So this one's called Dial for Aunties. So grateful I read this instead of the one I was actually supposed to read. I'll get to that hopefully in a bit because I wasn't in the mood to like listen to the audio of that, do my nails, so I figured I'll just start something on Kindle. And again, it's just the way things line up because it was either supposed to be like a reread or that, and somehow this came in the picture and it like completely defeated both of those. Because for a quick premise, so I can like talk you all into reading this as well because I'm completely obsessed with it. We follow Madeline, and the thing is she comes from like a Indo-Chinese background to the point where it's very much like established in the book that her mom is very meddlesome, and even more than that, her 3 aunties are. And you know, it's supposed to be alright, except she's at the age in her life and whatnot wherein they're very concerned about her dating life because they're like expecting grandchildren at this point and she has like no prospects. So her mom ends up setting her up with her blind date to the point where she's hoping that this meddling will actually fix Madeline's life. And the funniest part is they were supposed to name her Madeline, they named her Madeline with like an accidental letter change and whatnot. And so she is trying her best not to meddle in other people's lives, but they meddle into hers. She gets set up on that blind date. She decides just to like go to keep their heart, except something goes wrong on there and she accidentally ends up killing off her blind date. So forget grandbabies out of the picture, she's now going to jail probably, except now with the whole meddling aspect with her aunts and mom and whatnot, she doesn't really know what to do with the body, so she ends up calling their help in and whatnot. And because they believe in one big happy united family, and this is where their meddling comes in like a good way, they end up coming to help her to dispose the body. Except for context, do believe that this is setting on like a Friday or something like that, and the weekend is right after, and their family runs this like family enterprise kind of running and successfully managing weddings. So like the big aunt, the like number 1 eldest aunt and whatnot, she does like the dessert and whatnot, so the cake. Then the other one of them, she does like hair and makeup. Her mom runs after flower arrangements, and like the 4th aunt is like the wedding singer, and Medi is supposed to be the photographer. And so the thing is, they have the biggest gig basically of the entire year booked out for the weekend, the very next day Saturday. And so for now they figure they'll just keep the body in like a cake cooler and then deal with it after the wedding, so they don't bring like bad luck onto the wedding and stuff. Except things go horribly wrong when that cooler accidentally gets shipped out to that wedding on a private island with like the richest people there, and suddenly they need to figure out what they're doing with that. But before anything, Maddie actually ends up running into her ex, the one she's been in love with ever since they broke up and whatnot. And he's basically the one who got away, and he's like the hotel manager. So now she needs to figure out over the weekend how to dispose of the body, especially when her ex Nathan is very much like getting suspicious of what these people are up to, how to win him back because she's still in love with him and also there is potential there, and finally how to let the wedding go off without a hitch because she doesn't want to ruin it for that couple and whatnot, and then also ruin her business in the middle of it because that's her family enterprise. And so overall it gives you like a bunch of different genres. There's a mix of comedy, there's a mix of like the mystery with the body and stuff, and then romance between the two of them. And all I'll say is, online for some reason I was like reading reviews and stuff, and for some reason people just don't seem to like the mix of genres. But for me personally, 2 of the 5 stars I've given so far this year, Happy Place and Funny Story by Emily Henry, both of them are like genre mixes, and I feel like at this point I'm understanding that I enjoy stuff like that, because those books, they're like a plot of romance with mostly women's fiction, and here while it isn't necessarily like those, it's still like a bunch of different things mixed in together, and for some reason it just gives life. And even though this is nothing similar to what real life is, it's not realistic in the least bit, it still is funny because just every single bit of it combined the way it was done. I was like grinning the entire time I was reading it. I was trying to like root for them in the best way possible despite the fact that circumstances were piling up against them. And then the very ending, the kind of things that went down, genuinely I was like giggling the entire time. I was in the library when I was reading it and people were staring at me, but I couldn't stop because it was that good. And basically all in all to say, I enjoyed the genre mixes a lot. I like the way it kind of brought the story together because I feel like that's just the thing that made it the best for me, which is why overall 5 stars. I had such a good time reading this. I can't wait to ask everyone now I know to read it because every single aspect of it was just so amazing. I don't think I've binged like a book on my Kindle this fast ever. I don't really know. I can't remember, but at least not in the near like period and whatnot, because I have been in a bit of a slump. So this book did come as a surprise, but in the best way possible because I enjoyed every second of it. I feel like everything just compiled up to make the best book possible, and it was this. And so overall, yeah, I had such a good time reading. I am going out this evening, which is why I'm not sure if I'll be able to edit this vlog in time and post it tonight, but it'll definitely go tomorrow and whatnot. But the thing is, the place where I'm going, there's like a bunch of indie bookstores, and the only goal I have in my mind is to go and pick up like a physical copy of this and get it for myself, because just the impact this has got on me, it's so amazing. I have not heard great things about the next book in the series, but it is like the wedding book and whatnot. All of these are, and that's like my favorite setting ever. So I will be picking up that soon, and I will go ahead and binge the rest of this author's backlist. But all I'll say is this was everything to me. It just hit me at the right time, because I don't think I would have given it 5 stars if I read it at any other point in my life. But it was just like right book, right time. It just worked out in the best of possible ways. Easily in my like top 3, top 4 reads of the year, considering the fact that I've already read like 120 books so far. And all in all to say, it was just such a good, amazing time coming from someone who's very critical about books and everything. So this, it hit the mark. It was a sort of book wherein I wasn't really thinking about the rating. I wasn't checking to see how many pages there were because the chapters were so short that I was like binging them. Then at some point it just hit me that I cannot rate this anything but a 5 star, and that's when I knew here on out that this is gonna be like a great book, which is why again there's no feeling like it. I did go ahead and finish it, and now I will be reading the rest of them. But yeah, this was incredible, insanely good. I had such an amazing time, and with this we have reached the final end of the vlog and whatnot, because this was the last book I read. Now I don't know if it's superstition and whatnot, but every time I find a 5 star, I don't end up reading like a different book for the rest of the day, just so I can soak up my experience of the 5 star, which is why I did have time yesterday evening, but I didn't pick up anything new to like start and then continue to today and whatnot, which is why, like I said, this is the final book. But also because I did end up going to the supermarket, I was busy, so whatever. But here we are anyway. I'm done with the video now. I can't believe this was such a success because I found a 5 star book. But anyway, here we are. Stars all aligned to give me a great reading vlog because I've had the best week so far, and hopefully you guys did have a good time coming along with me this week as well. If you did, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them, because now we have reached the end of this video. I'll see you all now hopefully next week very, very soon with a different reading vlog, and let's hope that one's gonna be a success as well and I get another 5 star, because already my vacation is made. I'm so happy and nothing can truly make it better, which is why here we are. Like I said, I'll see you all next week, and until then, take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and bye.